morning, everybody, and welcome to Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rense Radio Network. It is Monday, November 5th, 2012, and it is Election Eve. And joining us for this first half hour of the first hour is a gentleman who says that Mitt Romney will win by a landslide, or at least that's what he said about a week or so ago on the O'Reilly Factor. Welcome Wayne Allen Root, a former presidential candidate, the 2008 Libertarian vice presidential nominee, Tea Party favorite speaker, political pundit, and media superstar. He is the ultimate capitalist evangelist, a blue-collar SOB, and that stands for son of a butcher. I hope nobody took that the wrong way. Turned Ivy Leaguer, small businessman, entrepreneur, CEO, homeschool dad, and citizen politician. Mr. Root, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Larry. That's quite a mouthful of an introduction. Bye.
Well, believe it or not, I was kind of like competing between which pages I was going to read from at this point.
I get a lot of stuff. Hey, listen, the number one way to describe me is an entrepreneur and a capitalist evangelist and a rock-ribbed conservative on fiscal issues, and I understand the difference between Romney and Obama, and it's a very big difference. My fellow libertarians very often don't understand the difference. They think politics is about who's more libertarian. I think it's about who wants to save capitalism and who wants to protect American values and Christian Judeo values, and I think Obama's on the wrong side of every one of those issues.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned your fellow libertarians, because I've been covering the liberty movement now since, I'd say, March of this year. And I run into that a lot. It's like, well, we can't bring ourselves to vote for either. It's time to make a stand. But you've actually not only come out in support of Mitt Romney, you're a Vegas odds maker, and you're saying that he's going to win with more than 300 electoral votes. Are you still standing by that prediction?
Yeah, I am. As a matter of fact, I wear two hats. I mean, number one, I give predictions, and I've predicted a Romney landslide since May. May 30th is when I wrote down at conservative websites all over the country. My commentary appeared predicting a Romney landslide. And I doubled down, as a matter of fact, just recently when I said, I think it was October 4th or 5th at Fox News, was the most popular commentary of early October, where I predicted a Romney landslide again. So I've been pretty good, considering the fact that polls all showed Obama would win this race and win it going away when I made those predictions. And now things are very different in the polls. But my other hat is that I'm a cheerleader for Mitt Romney. Forget that I'm a professional odds maker and I'm trying to be a professional and just pick it the way I see it without any bias. Then on a totally separate hat, you'll see today at Fox News, my commentary, Mitt Romney is the only sane choice for libertarians. And it gives some compelling arguments why libertarians ought to be voting for Mitt Romney and holding their nose. They don't like him on every issue, and worry about voting libertarian next year and the year after and the year after. But first, let's rid the country of Barack Obama, who I believe is a socialist out to literally destroy the American way of life, and he's doing a damn good job of it.
You know, I'm going to give you that opportunity. I know that you can only stay with us the first half hour because you've got another show to do. So we're going to skip the commercial break and take you straight to the end of the hour, or right, the bottom of the hour anyway. And you just mentioned something. I have a friend by the name of Toots Sweets that has gotten involved in the political process, and he's attended some of the libertarian events that I've gone to cover. And he's tried to put out the same argument that while Mitt Romney may not be your candidate of choice, it's a matter of stopping Barack Obama now before we can't stop him. So tell me something. So I'm going to give you the opportunity. Give those listeners the argument why they should indeed vote Mitt Romney tomorrow.
Well, listen, just look at the carnage and the wreckage of the American economy. You know, I've got editorials and commentaries out all over the internet, 5 of them in the last few days at Fox News and Town Hall and The Blaze. Some are predictions about Mitt Romney winning. Some are my commentary on why I think Mitt Romney has to win and why Obama's got to go. One of them came out today. It's called The Final Indictment of Barack Obama. And, you know, a lot of people just are so busy in life, Larry, they don't have a chance to see the facts. Here are the facts. Unemployment, 7.9%, the highest for any incumbent since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. We're going back to the 1930s, folks, to find someone this pathetic overseeing an economy this horrible. Real unemployment is actually in the range of 15% when you count people who are underemployed or have dropped off the list that are no longer counted, and that's higher than in 10 of the 12 years of the Great Depression. Unemployment in the black community, 14.3%. Unemployment and underemployment for college graduates, a staggering 53%. Labor force participation rate among men, lowest since 1948, right after World War II. Food stamp growth, 75% greater than job growth under Barack Obama. 100 million Americans get entitlement checks. 1/6 of all personal income in America now provided by the government. The housing collapse now deeper than the peak of the Great Depression. The net worth of the average American down 40%. New business startups, lowest level in 30 years, and the U.S. credit rating downgraded for the first time in history. Here's the way a lawyer would put it, Larry. Barack Obama has turned the entire damn U.S. economy into a hostile work environment. And I'm convinced that the day after he's reelected, the stock market will crash. This country will go to depths you can't even imagine. After January, when we have those massive tax increases coming and the massive Obamacare taxes and mandates, American business will come to a complete, utter standstill. So here's what I say to everyone. If you want a job in January, you better put your differences aside with a Mitt Romney and understand there's a difference between your typical politician like Romney, that you agree with some, you disagree with some, and a total, outright socialist, Marxist, hell-bent on destroying this country and everything we believe in. And that's what Obama is. I've seen it. I could document it for you. I just documented all the facts, what he's done to the economy, and we've got to get rid of him or there will be no jobs. As I said at an event today to women, I said a special pitch to women. I know you'd like free contraception, but guess what? It's more important you have a job so you could pay the $9 for the contraception. Because guess what, ladies? Sex is a hell of a lot better when you have a job.
You know, it's funny. You did make a good argument, and I'm going to take this just one step further. This week's edition of the tabloid Globe has an article in there. And I don't know if you know this or not, but you're actually quoted in there. It goes back to your... Well, it's definitely challenging Barack Obama on his identity, or at least on what people know about him.
Oh, this must be my quotes about my college classmate, Barack Obama. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yes,
yeah.
I graduated class of 83, Columbia University, and Barack Obama says he graduated class of 83, Columbia. But I thought I knew everyone. We were both political science majors, both pre-law, never met him, never heard of him, never saw him, don't know anyone at Columbia who ever met him, who ever heard of him, who ever saw him. Very strange. I mean, I can only say Manchurian candidate.
Okay. Well, I wanted to bring that up simply because, like I said, I ran across this one this week, and it's raising issues about whether or not he accepted foreign student aid and whatnot, which, to be honest with you, at this point, I don't think it really matters.
It just doesn't matter now. But that was my guess, Larry, just so you know. I mean, I was on Hannity and Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh and Huckabee and Geraldo in a 24-hour period talking about this. The reason I never saw him in school is because, see, I only found this out in the last few months. When you're a foreign student, they actually put you in a dorm just for international students. They don't put you in the regular dorm with the rest of us. So, like, in my whole life, I've never met a Pakistani, ever. I've never went to college with one. I've never been in business with one. Never met a person from Pakistan. Nothing wrong with them. I just have never been in a circle to meet one. Barack Obama, when you see pictures of him in college, in Occidental, he's with a Pakistani roommate. In Colombia, he's with a Pakistani roommate. How is that possible? Well, the answer is they roomed them together because he was from Indonesia, Obama, and the other guy was from Pakistan. They were in an international building at Columbia University, just like he did at Occidental as well. That's why I didn't know him. That's the answer to the story.
All right. Now, let's take this one step further. You said that on the day that Barack Obama's reelected, the day after, the stock market's going to crash. My question is, which direction will we go? And I'm going to give you two scenarios here. You said it'll crash with an Obama reelection. Which way is it going to go if Romney wins? Is there any possibility that you see that Romney will win the popular vote, but Obama will actually come out with the electoral vote?
No, I see it the other way, actually. I could see it's possible Obama and Romney could be so close that the popular vote could go for Obama, but the electoral vote will go for Romney. I'm predicting an electoral landslide for Romney because I've seen the closing polls. Certainly up until the date of Sandy, Romney had the lead in 9 of 11 battleground states, and he was damn close in 10 of 11 battleground states to having the lead, and the 10th one is Ohio, the most important one, and I've seen polls since then that show he is, in fact, in the lead in Ohio. However, the problem is that Sandy seems to have stopped Romney's momentum. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Nothing has happened that would lead you to suddenly want to vote for a guy that you didn't like before, Barack Obama. You felt he did damage to the American economy. You're worried about your job, and suddenly, because he lands in New Jersey with Air Force One, smiles at the crowd, and puts his arm around Governor Christie, you mean that's reason to change your vote and now vote for him for President of the United States? The fact is it's turning into a nightmare. If you've watched the news, Hurricane Sandy on the ground, the aftermath, is turning into Hurricane Katrina, just like George Bush. FEMA is woefully inadequate. There's no water, there's no food, there's no fuel, there's no nothing, there's no power, nobody can go to school. It's an absolute disaster. New York is back in the Stone Ages, and at night, when it gets dark, there's no lights, there's no police, there's looting, and there's people fearing for their lives. There is just total anarchy. You got to blame that on the CEO. So my opinion is that even though his ratings went up a little bit since Sandy last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think they're going to come right back down this Monday and Tuesday as people go in the voting booth and they see the tragedy on the ground in New York. He's going to get blame, not credit.
Well, I can tell you, I don't need to watch the news to know what's going on with Sandy victims. I have quite a few friends in the area that are keeping me updated on exactly what is going on.
And it's as bad as I'm saying, correct?
You are absolutely right. It really is, and it's a sad state in our country to where, especially a week before an election, you've got someone who's using it for political photo ops, and the bottom line is you really haven't been able to get anything done. We had an event up in New York City last week that I was actually hoping to have met you at. It was called the Occupy versus Tea Party debate.
Oh yeah, I almost went to that. I came very close, but my business as an entrepreneur, separate from a political pundit and all that, is really football related. I'm a Las Vegas odds maker and sports handicapper. So during the fall on weekends, my life is just completely consumed by football, and I need to be around. So I told Gordon, who arranged that whole thing, that I just didn't think I could make it. It was just too big a trip, and I'm so glad I didn't, because you realize I would have probably been trapped in New York for the storm. I have a friend who could not get out after that weekend. So I think the planes were canceled as of Monday, so I really wouldn't have made it out.
See, I was smart. I actually left the area Sunday evening at 5:15. I drove.
Yeah,
but yeah.
If I had gone, what I would have done is I would have tried to turn it into a productive weekend, and I would have said, let me do the debate on Saturday night, and let me go make some appearances on the weekend on Fox News on Sunday. And so I probably would have done Fox and Friends on Sunday, and I would have done some other media, and I probably would have left first thing Monday morning. I would have never made it out. I would have been trapped there for a week, and God knows what would have happened to my business. So I am so glad I made that decision, Larry. But I miss not having met you. I wish we had met.
Well, I can tell you, when you see the footage of this event, I think you're going to be somewhat amazed at how this thing actually took place and transpired that Saturday evening.
Did it attract a good crowd? Did you have a good crowd there?
I would say that approximately half of the seats in the theater were sold. The audience was engaged. I think what was surprising and more amazing to me is the fact that both sides, at the end of an hour-and-a-half long live debate, ended up sitting down at a bar 3 doors down, drinking and talking to each other for 4 hours after the fact. I think it's interesting and amazing if you can see Pamela Geller sitting down and having drinks and engaging in a conversation with some of the most ardent Occupy movement protesters. I think it's interesting when you can see Sirius XM talk show host David Webb laughing and shaking hands and exchanging phone numbers and emails with Occupy protesters to continue the dialogue. So I really do think that regardless of how big the crowd ended up being, the event itself, I think, was extremely successful in what it was intended to start. And I'm looking forward to Gordon and being able to pursue this and keep it going.
Yeah,
because
well, my plan is to be involved in the future. You know, I'm kind of a reality TV producer, by the way. I'm the producer of the #1 show on Travel Channel, and I've produced several reality TV shows and starred in several. So, and right now they've got me pegged for a new reality show about Las Vegas odds makers set here in Vegas with Spike TV. So, you know, kind of interesting. That's my world, and I think I could have probably helps that dialogue a little bit, because even though I'm a rock-ribbed conservative on fiscal issues, I'm sure I'd have nothing in common with any Occupy movement person on fiscal issues. I'm still a libertarian on social issues and pretty libertarian on many civil liberties issues, and very libertarian on, you know, against the bailouts, and feel that corporate America is taking advantage of small business and typical American. So, I mean, I think I would have found some things in common that we share with Occupy movement people, even though I may dislike the general movement.
Interestingly enough that you said that, because it was amazing at how many times during the live debate that both Occupy and Tea Party and the audience, the three of them, actually agreed on issues, and it was almost as if you had just merged everybody into one group. And that, like I said, it was very educational. It was extremely entertaining. I think it was extremely successful. Because of Sandy, it's put Gordon and I back a little bit as far as getting all of the footage taken care of, but I know we've been working on that today. We'll see where it goes. Like I said, I think it's an absolutely amazing idea, and I think the way it took place that Saturday night only makes it even more appealing to people on all sides of the spectrum.
Well, you know what's funny? I mean, I think Tea Party and Occupy agree there's a terrible problem in America. I think both sides, Republican and Democrat, to some extent, I think Democrats more. Obviously, I lean conservative, but I think both sides, you know, are putting policies in place that kill freedom, that kill opportunity, that kill civil liberties, that kill the middle class, by the way, in favor of Democrats, in favor of the poor, and environmentalists, and lawyers, and Republicans put in policies that are in favor of the ultra-rich and Walmart and big corporations, but none of them put anything in place that helps the middle class, the upper middle class, and small business people. So we have some common ground there, because that's the general feel of the Occupy movement. The problem is they think the answer to the same problem that I see is that you raise taxes to 80% levels on everyone, and you go after billionaires, but you wind up taxing to death the average small businessman like me that makes $250,000 a year and runs small businesses. Well, I don't think I should be taxed like Warren Buffett. I don't think I should be taxed like Donald Trump. Matter of fact, I don't think any of us, including Trump and Buffett, should be taxed heavily. I think Hong Kong has the perfect model, which is 15% flat tax and zero capital gains. So when they hear that, they hear the same problem Occupy does, but they think my answers are horrible because they think that's too low taxation. You gotta hit the rich and destroy the rich. So we see the same problem. We just think the solution is so different. Their solution would destroy the country. There is no business in America without rich people creating jobs and investing. As a matter of fact, take a guy like me. I'm a small businessman. Tomorrow I couldn't put $100,000 in a business. I don't have that kind of money. But tomorrow, if I want to raise the money, which I do all the time, that's what I do for a living. I raise money. I thought of a business 2 years ago. I went and found a rich man. He gave me $1 million because I'm a good salesman and I'm a good talker, and I got $1 million investment out of him. And tomorrow, if I start a new business, I'll do the exact same thing. But if you hurt that rich man, he can't give me the $1 million. I won't start my business. There are no new employees. So without rich people, middle-class people can never become upper middle class, can never start a business, and can never raise any money. So therefore, I may not like rich people either, but guess what? You can't live without them, and you got to let them keep their money. I'd rather have them give it to me as an investment than the government in new taxes.
I was just fixing to say, since it's that easy, you know, you do need to give me a call after the show, because I need a little...
Hey, here's the problem, though. This is what I tell people, why I say libertarians must vote for Romney. It's not that easy anymore. It was easy 5 years ago and 10 years ago. I mean, in my lifetime, Larry, I've raised about $50 million for businesses. But again, I'm a small businessman. So, you know, there are guys on Wall Street, $50 million is a good afternoon. I've raised $50 million for 10 businesses, an average of $5 million each over a 20-year period. That's really chump change. But that's the business that I'm in. But in the last 2 years, now ask me today, Can you go out and meet someone and get $1 million check? It is probably 10,000 times harder than it was 2 years ago and 100,000 times harder than 5 years ago. That's what Obama has done to the economy. Rich people are not writing checks, so business is coming to a standstill.
Wayne, one last question before we have to let you go, and that is it fair to say that regardless of who wins tomorrow, it's not going to end the current problems that we have in this nation, and we are going to have to come together and try to figure out a way to work together?
It's fair to say that, but there's, gradations. There are levels of how fair it is to say that. No matter who wins, even if Romney wins tomorrow, my man, the guy I'm supporting, we face such disastrous economics in this country right now, and such dysfunctional, the infrastructure of this country is dysfunctional. So many people on welfare and food stamps and Social Security that I don't know how anybody can turn this around without massive changes. So that's fair. Lots of problems no matter who's elected. But I will say this, if Obama's elected, business goes to hell. If Romney's elected, people get excited, like me, and suddenly checks start getting written, businesses start getting founded, startups, guys like me create 100 new jobs, multiply me times 1 million, and the entire problem is solved. I believe within 2 years, you'll have a humming economy if Romney's elected, but it's only a short-term fix because of the dysfunction of this country. A lot of long-term changes will have to be negotiated and made. That is true.
Mr. Wayne Allen Root, thank you for joining us, and I hope to have you back on again when you have more time.
Thank you, Larry, and my website's root4america.com. That's ROOT 4america.com. I'll have all my election night thoughts and predictions there.
Thank you, Wayne. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Larry.
And you're listening to Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rents Radio Network. After this commercial break, we'll be back with James Hirsen on Hollywood. Stay tuned. Philizzuto was a permanent fixture, daydreaming through the science class lectures. My first kiss behind the high school bleachers. My mom's meatballs, my grandma's sauce, and Vicky's cookies, chocolate s'mores. Thor dental hygiene's lost. Sinners, cooking hands can make a chocolate to eat dental floors. California, seeing the sights, getting drunk, looking up at the Napa Valley moonshine, gazing at the stars in the Hollywood nights. As the stars walk by my side, I heard Lady Liberty lost her crown. As I was searching for my country at the lost and found, fell in love at first sight, messing around. He had the cutest little nose against the window at the door he found. I'm American made.
Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News here with an important message from Chris, Phil, Russ, Tyler, and the rest of the folks at BuyEmergencyFoods.com. Do not wait until it's too late to be prepared for disaster. The world's a crazy place. Ever-present threat of man-made political and economic crisis makes it important to be prepared. But when you factor in natural disasters, it goes from being important to being mandatory. 7.7 earthquake in Canada, 6.5 earthquake in Central America, and over 50 million Americans affected by Hurricane Sandy, all in the span of just a few days. Make Legacy Premium freeze-dried storable food part of your preparedness plan today. Legacy Premium tastes great, has a 25-year shelf life, and is the only certified non-GMO freeze-dried storable food in the business. I recommend the 360-serving package. That's 120 days worth of life-sustaining calories for about $1.25 a serving. Please call them at 888-543-7345. Again, 888-543-7345, or better yet, visit them online at BuyEmergencyFoods.com.
American Masters Painting, a family-owned and operated business beautifying homes in Northern Virginia for over 30 years. American Masters craftsmen serve all of your painting, staining, and wood refinishing needs. American Masters not only guarantees to deliver satisfying results, they also promise a positive, rewarding, and personalized experience to your complete satisfaction. American Masters Painting is recognized for its flawless expertise in all custom interior and exterior projects. For a free and timely estimate, contact American Masters Painting toll-free at 888-760-7760 or visit AmericanMastersPainting.com. And remember, when you're thinking American Masters Painting, you're thinking one family serving another, one project at a time. American Masters Painting is a proud sponsor of Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rents Radio Network.
You're listening to the Rents Radio Network, coast to coast on the Galaxy 19 KU band satellite, nationwide and worldwide on the internet, and of course, on rents.com.
Are chemtrail geoengineering programs changing our weather and destroying our environment? Why in the world are they spraying?
They want to create a storm in the southeast, then they'll start engineering out over the North Pacific. That's where the tragedies will be.
Find out why critics are calling Why in the World Are They Spraying the most important film that is revolutionizing the environmental movement.
It's just going to get worse until the point where we're not going to be able to grow anything at all unless it's a Monsanto genetically modified, abiotic stress resistant seed.
Why in the world are they spraying? New international version with languages available from around the world. For 1 month, Rinse listeners receive free shipping. Go to the banner on the front of the Rinse website and click on the link for more info.
It's all about money, and weather is another form of commoditizing, a way the Central Command Group can commoditize another form of our life.
Why in the world are they spraying?
And if you control the weather, you're going to control the planet. It's that simple.
Will 2012 bring the Mayan end of world or the global banking collapse? In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. This week, Mike unleashes 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
You're my soldier boy, a man amongst men. You're my soldier boy, a man amongst men.
And welcome back. You are listening to Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rinse Radio Network. In this half hour, we welcome Mr. James Hirsen. Mr. Hirsen is a JDMA, or has a JDMA in media psychology, is a New York Times bestselling author, commentator, media analyst, and law professor. He's sought after for his expertise in the entertainment industry, media psychology, current events, and cultural matters. He's also featured on Newsmax. He's a pundit for Newsmax.com and has an article out today called Tight Race Pushes Celebs Over the Edge. Welcome to the program, sir.
Oh, good to be with you. How are you?
Please tell me I pronounced your last name correctly.
Well, it rhymes with person, so it's
okay.
Hirsen
Hirsen
rhymes with person.
All right, thank you, sir. Before we get to your article, you have 2 books out. You have Tales from the Left Coast, and your most recent, I believe, is called Hollywood Nation?
Yes.
Okay, we have both of those up on the website in the carousel for books, and we will put up a link to them. Tell me, what's up with this article about the tight race pushing celebs over the edge?
Well, everybody's nervous about the presidential race, and if we turn on the TV, we hear backers of each candidate predicting victory. And because the data is so close, you can shape it the way you want to. Well, that has people in Hollywood who tend to, vast majority are for President Obama's reelection, to get unhinged. And they started to get unhinged during what was called the Romney surge after the first debate. But it's gotten really out of hand, and they're running out of things to say, I think, because Chris Rock is now satirically, yes, but trying to sell the idea that President Obama is white. It's getting very racial. Bill Maher is telling people if they vote for Romney, black people will come and find them and get them. Cher is commenting on Paul Ryan's looks, saying that I guess he looks like a cast member of Twilight or something like that. And Barbara Streisand is calling Romney as extreme as it gets. And it goes on and on. Will Ferrell eat garbage if you vote? I think they're just running off the edge completely.
Well, let me ask you this. We attended a Michelle Obama rally on Thursday here in Daytona Beach and spoke with a 9-year-old boy by the name of Brandon. And the reason we spoke to him is because he was walking past us with his dad, telling his dad that Obama needed to be reelected or otherwise they would be back in the fields picking crops. And it kind of shocked me. And I kind of think that Hollywood tends to perpetuate this train of thought in some of the things that they say, to where our kids today really do pick up on these ideas and the racial hinge to them, and just go way off on left field and say things that they really don't understand. Is Hollywood making this election about race?
Oh, there's no question. Look, it's not just Hollywood. It's all of the left institutions. We see it coming from the mainstream media, from academics, from Chris Matthews on MSNBC, and from Hollywood. It seems to be acceptable for the left to be utterly racist in their statements, but anyone right of center is attacked for what are sometimes innocent statements. I mean, for the Bill Maher statement in particular, and what he said is, quote, "If you're thinking about voting for Mitt Romney, I would like to make this one plea. Black people know who you are, and they will come after you." Now, his underlying assumption is racist. It's singling out black people as people who would commit an assault over someone exercising their rights in a representative democracy. It's utterly racist. Chris Rock, it's typical of his humor, but he's assembling, in essence, an advocacy case that President Obama is white, arguing that he likes golf, he wears mom jeans, and he used to be known as Barry, and that cannot be a man from the hood. Now, it's pretty funny, but you're right. There's this hyperbole that is ridiculous that's said about Republicans that would lead a child to think that he's going to be, in some sort of servitude if Republicans are elected. And Joe Biden, the vice presidential candidate, explicitly said that. You'll all be in chains. So it's a tradition, if you will, of hyperbole. It's on both sides, but the left takes it to a whole new level.
How do you survive? Because you're actually out in the Hollywood area, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I am. And there are, I'm actually in the industry. I'm an entertainment attorney, and I have to deal with people. And in my career, I've had situations. My clients know about my writing and about my public speaking, and and I make them aware of it. So consequently, I tend to gravitate toward the minority, the very tiny minority in Hollywood that agree with me. And it's a known fact. I teach at an institution called it's a Christian school in Los Angeles County, Biola University, and many of my students are cinema students, and they go out as interns and work in Hollywood, and they tend to be conservative Christian kids. And they come and tell me that they realize right away that they have to hide their beliefs. I said, well, how do you know that? And they say, well, I look at the bumper stickers on the car, I see the pictures on the boss's desk, I hear the conversations in the commissary, and they figure it out. And it's like the rarefied air in Hollywood is all flows to the left. And if you're young and you're trying to make it in a very difficult glamour business, and broadcasting is the same thing, if you let it be known that you have what is considered to be controversial beliefs, it's going to be harmful to your social life and to your career, a very difficult career. And it's been, there have been a whole host of people that let it be known. Some of the names that come to mind are Patricia Heaton, the late Ron Silver, Charles Heston, who coined the term closet conservative, sort of stealing it from, the gay community, but it's true. And the only people that can publicly come out, so to speak, and be publicly conservative are people that have made it to a point where they can take the backlash, such as Clint Eastwood. And look at how severe, even for an icon like Clint Eastwood, who was beloved until he openly supported a Republican candidate, then he was belittled. He went from beloved to belittled in one empty chair scene. It was amazing. But
what I think was even more amazing about that is it was shortly after that his latest film, The Curve, was released. And I truly believe, and this is just my own personal opinion, I actually believe that the film failed to do what it would have done normally as a result of his RNC appearance. And that's sad because the film's actually quite good.
Well, it could have. It's possible that some of the critics were more brutal than they otherwise would have been. I mean, Roger Ebert is blatantly political in his reviews. And Clint's a tough guy. I mean, he knows this territory very well. Gran Torino, and Unforgiven are his two greatest works, and Gran Torino was totally snubbed by the entertainment community, not even getting a nomination, simply because it dealt with themes such as the use of guns. It had Christian metaphors in it, and it just reminded Hollywood that he used to be Dirty Harry, and so they just snubbed him. And he's used to it. He's a tough guy, so he knew what he was going to get. Patricia Heaton once said she was at a dinner party years ago and mentioned that she was a Republican, and it was as if she used more streety terms, but it was as if she had defecated on the dinner table, the way people reacted. And that's the way it is in Hollywood. And it's just a reality, and you can see it. Look at all the celebrities out there on the campaign trail. I mean, Eva Longoria is a campaign manager. Bruce Springsteen's now the campaign minstrel. You see Stevie Wonder, Katy Perry. It's just the list is a mile long. And there's Kid Rock out there all by himself.
I remember a time when Whoopi Goldberg's biggest controversy was saying that she couldn't get a part even by sleeping on the casting couch. And even Whoopi has become so biased and political in just about everything she does. How is it that the Barbara Streisands of the world, the Whoopi Goldbergs of the world, can come out and, I mean, they can draw money and support on issues that are totally to the left, and then you'll have a John Voight or a Clint Eastwood, and who our listeners will find out in the 7 o'clock hour, because we have one of those so-called closet conservative entertainers coming out tonight on this program. They tend to be chastised and publicly, insulted in every way possible. What is it about our culture that we have allowed Hollywood to have such an impact on the way we think anymore?
It's the human condition, and it's always been there historically, that we crave celebrities, and we crave the famous, and we put them on pedestals. Now we've gotten so extreme that we put people on pedestals for no reason whatsoever. People like the Kardashians and the Real Housewives and on and on. And that's the way, and we give them power. And I know people always say this every election cycle. They say, what does it matter what Cher said? What does it matter what a celebrity said? Well, if it didn't matter, then why is it that major corporations would pay the big bucks for celebrities to endorse their products? Of course it matters. And it's like, sometimes it's just the fact Katy Perry doesn't have to say anything. The fact that Katy Perry performs on stage at an event for Barack Obama, of course, she's wearing an outfit that says, forward on it. I mean, there are tons of young people of voting age who think Katy Perry, that anything she does is trendy, and we ought to do it too. The president lost a lot of his cool factor from 2008, so he had to call on even more celebrities to bring it back. And we're going to find out tomorrow whether it did.
Let me ask you something. I've noticed a difference between the 2008 Obama campaign and the 2012 Obama campaign. In the 2008 campaign, he had a lot of very young Hollywood entertainers that were bringing out the vote for him. And yet I've noticed in the 2012 campaign, he's actually utilizing some of the older, more established. When you think about Streisand, when you think about Cher, when you think about Colin Powell, who's not exactly Hollywood, but you understand what I'm saying. It's almost
Bruce
like
Springsteen is what you're talking about.
And Stevie Wonder. I mean, these are people who appeal more to my age group than the age group that he won with in 2008. And you don't see that youth excitement in the 2012. Is he really hurting that bad in this election cycle?
Well, I think he is. I think, look, when an incumbent president basically has final poll numbers where objective people say it's a dead heat, that means the incumbent is in trouble. Because traditionally, the pollsters will whisper to you and they'll say that the undecided votes break at the end, and more of them go for the challenger than for the incumbent. So all the talk about this election, I mean, today it seems the media is trying everything they can to say that Obama has come back, even to the point where they're ignoring two major polls, Gallup likely voter polls and Rasmussen polls that show Romney in the lead. They're ignoring Pennsylvania polls that show it as a dead heat, Minnesota being a dead heat. So there's a bit of denial going on. But clearly the Obama campaign is dramatically different, not just the age of the Hollywood people. The message is different. It's totally negative. There is no hope. There really is no change. I mean, he's basically saying, let me go forward and keep doing to you what I did to you. And I don't understand. I mean, for me, I'm shocked that he's even in the running. But on the other hand, with the way the media has really cheerleaded him even more than 2008, which I didn't think would be possible, and given such distorted coverage of Romney, especially before the debates, before the Romney surge, it's understandable that President Obama even has a shot.
You know, you brought up the fact that you're surprised at the way he's running this campaign. I've noticed something in the last 2 days in events that I've actually watched, and believe me, it is really difficult to get me to even watch him speaking at any event at this point. But I've noticed something. It's almost like it goes back to the tone of the 2008 campaign, to where Axelrod and Robert Gibbs came up with this, we can't afford 4 more years of Bush. In other words, painting John McCain as just simply being an extension of George W. Bush. And I've noticed in the last 2 days, I continue to hear him say that Mitt Romney continues to try to repackage the same old thing and sell it to voters as being something new. But yet, in the same token, I don't hear Barack Obama saying anything about what he has done in the last 4 or what he will do in the next 4 if he was to be reelected. So how is it that he is still in the running?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. Well, personally, I don't think he is. I think it's just the media has created a facade, because when you really look at things objectively, the enthusiasm gap is so disproportionately on the anti-Obama side. The ground game, the Democrat get out the vote infrastructure is not as good as it was in 2008, and the GOP's infrastructure is far better. So the undecided voters in every poll are showing, the independent vote, there's a gap. Romney has the advantage, and they're going to break more for Romney. And then there's these voters they call high propensity voters, which for Romney are seniors, married people, people who go to church, evangelicals, gun owners. Well,
I was going to say, you're talking about people that cling to their guns and religion?
Yeah, really, the bitter clingers. And it turns out that a large percentage of those high-propensity voters are going to vote tomorrow. And so it's kind of, it's somewhat of an illusion almost, this notion that, I mean, if I were forced to bet as a betting person and I'm looking at all the odds, I would bet on Romney, and I wouldn't bet on a squeaker. I wouldn't say a landslide like Dick Morris, but I would bet on a comfortable win, and maybe more like Bush-Kerry 2004. But
that's interesting.
But that's based more on my gut and on outside data that I'm talking about. The enthusiasm gas. I mean, there's nobody really believes that Democrats are as enthusiastic as there were in 2008. And there's tons of them that have said as much, and the Gallup internals show that. And so yet the pollsters, particularly the media polls, continue to use assumptions from 2008, like the CNN poll, which today uses a plus 11 for the Democrat side, which is crazy. We're not going to have. They're not going to have an 11% turnout edge. There's no way.
Some people think I'm nuts for saying this, but there's something in my gut that says that Axelrod has ran the 2012 campaign in a manner that he's concentrating more on the electoral count than he is the actual popular vote count.
Well, he's said as much. They use the term the firewall, and they believe that the ultimate firewall is Ohio. And there's this constant maxim that Republicans can't win without Ohio. Well, it's very difficult to win without Ohio. But when you start seeing former states that weren't toss-ups going into the toss-up camp, and you see the Romney campaign spending serious dollars in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania polling being a dead heat, I mean, Romney starts winning states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, then all of a sudden you don't need Ohio. But
exactly.
I almost feel no matter what the polls said, no matter what, I think Axelrod would be behaving the same way. I'm originally from Chicago. I mean, it's this kind of, it's an attitude, and there's a rationale for it, because if you go out there and sort of act like you're going to lose, then in theory your grassroots people aren't going to have as much enthusiasm. So both sides are playing that game, saying we're sure, we're absolutely banking on victory, and so there, either side, when you use the term possible, either side can win. It's just that which one has the edge. I still believe it's Romney-Ryan, and I also believe that the Wisconsin recall, we could even talk about the Chick-fil-A phenomenon.
Right.
And we can talk about the referendums that took place in California and San Jose and San Diego, where the polls were wrong. And so this smells a lot like 1980, when we forget, Carter was the favorite.
Well, I can tell you this. If Romney wins tomorrow night, I would strongly suggest that you have local authorities outside of Hollywood and Los Angeles stake out all the bridges to keep people from jumping off of them.
Well, the New Age gurus are going to clean up, because they'll be booked, completely with all the stars wanting to come and touch their crystals and get counseling.
You know, I knew I was in the wrong business. James, where can our listeners read your columns other than at Newsmax? I know you have a website. You want to give it out real quick?
Yeah, it's jameshirsen.com, and there's an interesting website for your listeners at legalsurvival.org, legalsurvival.org.
Okay. And your books, again, are Hollywood Nation?
Hollywood Nation and Tales from the Left Coast. If you need to find them, they're strategically hidden in the back of the bookstore.
Well, actually, they're also both available, if I'm correct, on Amazon, because that's where I took them from to put them on our website.
They are available on Amazon.
Mr. Hirsen, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of Hour 1 of Through the Mirror with Larry Sinclair on the Rents Radio Network. But please do not go away. Hour 2 will begin with actor and award-winning actor, actually, Ken Wall, who is most popularly known for the TV series Wise Guy. And at 7:45 this evening in the second hour, we will be joined by Matt Romney, son of Governor Mitt Romney, and who many believe will soon be President Mitt Romney. We'll be right back.
We gotta be the man. Stand up and stand out. Check it out, I was kicking all that. Watching the flat screen, surfing through the channel, political pundits, all I see propaganda or integrity. Who's gonna win this? Come on, brace your rhythm in or been home, miss. Here was a left, took integrity, got hit in the jaw. From the shot, heard around the world he never saw. Coming from a shout, looks like I picked another bloody loser. Betting all the media will do that to ya. Are you a contender? Hell yeah. Or just a pretender? We gotta be the man. Stand up and stand out.
Oxygen. It's nature's oldest therapy and plays an essential role in destroying viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, and fungus, and keeping the human body healthy and strong. Now, you can give your body and your immune system a mega boost of disease-fighting oxygen with all-natural Oxy-C. With so many people now leading a sedentary indoor lifestyle, most are in a chronic state of oxygen deprivation, which sets up a perfect environment for disease, general fatigue, and a host of other symptoms. Oxy-C is yours in simple, convenient capsules. Nothing to mix, nothing to hassle with. Take it with juice or water anytime. Feel a cold or flu approaching? Have no energy or spark anymore? Try all-natural Oxy-C and prepare to be amazed. Oxy-C is only available from New Earth Health Solutions at Rents.com. Look for the New Earth banner at Rents.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Rents. Royal Raymond Rife was without question the most gifted medical scientific genius of our age. He discovered that most disease-related microbes die quickly when exposed to their own specialized resonant radio frequencies. The BCX411 Rife-type frequency instrument has received the highest praise on several continents for its precision, simplicity of operation, and successful research experiment. The BCX, with its comprehensive manual, allows you to select the frequencies you wish to experiment with for the length of time you want to run them. The BCX handheld plasma ray tubes and RF radio carrier way.